May I also invite to the high table the head, Professor Ahmadu Bello. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Sustainable Procurement, Environmental, Social Standards Center of Excellence, PC, Professor W. S. Jaffet. You're welcome, sir. Please come to the high table. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I also have the singular honor and privilege to invite to the chairman of the local organizing committee, Professor S.M. Vici. You're welcome, sir. The former head of Department of Library and Information Science, Dr. Mohammed Habib. You're welcome, sir. The acting head of Department of Library and Information Science, Dr. Ali Lawan. You're welcome, sir. Please come up, sir. Thank you. Distinguished guests, students, all other invited guests, once again, you all are welcome to this lecture series. Also, ladies and gentlemen, let's not forget, may I also acknowledge the presence, at the same time also invite to the high table, all the way from the Department of Finance, Professor Suleiman Karwe. You're welcome, sir, please. Once again, distinguished guests, students, you all are welcome to this lecture series. It is our prayers that it's going to be an educational trip, and I hope that we all will tap from the wealth of experiences of our able people presenters. And ladies and gentlemen, each time we find ourselves in a gathering like this, it's very important that we seek divine intervention for the blessings of the program. May we take 30 seconds to pray according to individual faith, please.
Thank you. Professor Dada. The educational education condition curriculum.
Thank you very much. Amen. Next is the national anthem. May we all rise for the national anthem, please. Our ingenuity of those rocks and tongue, their deep thought in love would we stand. Nigerians all are proud to set our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace, all bow to honor, and we seek out us to hand unto our children our I give you until.
Now we proclaim from hills and valleys we come to draw from the stream of knowledge. Our duty is to succeed in learning and service. Excellence is our goal. Ahmadu, Bello, University. In our dreams we shall achieve. We give thanks to Almighty Allah. In Him we derive our strength. We dutifully shall have and the ways of goodness. North to south, east to west, your name shall always be. Ahmadu, Bello, University, a citadel of learning.
Thank you very much. You may all sit. Ladies and gentlemen, at the point when we were reciting the national anthem, I was surprised when we all had landed, but then I realized that, everything was projected here. Thank you very much, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, quickly going by the first item, or rather next item on the agenda, for the welcome address, may I invite the Dean, Faculty of Education, Professor Ahmadu, who is here ably represented by the Deputy Dean, Dr. S.N. Akorede. Please can we put our hands together for the Dean while he comes for the welcome address.
The Vice Chancellor, ably represented here in today's occasion, our guest speakers, our very able chairman of this occasion, Professor H.I. Bayero, other dignitaries present here, our most senior professors, Director of Institute of Education, Director of Space, the Dean of Student Affairs, our former deans. I have the singular honor to represent Professor Abdullahi Dalatu, who is unavoidably absent, to welcome everyone here to today's lecture series. It is in the effort of the faculty to ensure that we continue intellectual conversations, to engage with people and see how we can actually develop ourselves further. It is on that note that I want to implore that our listeners, students, staff that are present here take a very huge advantage presented to us by this platform to learn, to interact, and get to do better in terms of issues of leadership. As today we have two very prominent presenters. One is our very own, our teacher. I think a whole lot of us here who are lecturers in the department must have gone through his philosophy class. Professor Raymond Bako, who will be presenting on the theme of the lecture series. Secondly, we have Professor Abdullah Ibrahim Musa, another product of this great faculty, who is steering the affairs of Kaduna State University as a Vice Chancellor. It's on his way, and we hope that he arrives here safely, who is also going to be speaking to us. It's on this note that I want to, on behalf of the Dean, welcome everybody to this gathering, and I wish us all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dean. Sir, please can we once again put our hands together for the Dean. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, The next is remarks by the chairman of today's occasion, who is a former dean of the Faculty of Education, Professor H.I. Bayero. Please, can we also put our hands together for the dean while he comes for his remarks?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The Vice Chancellor, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Professor Ahmadu, ably represented by the Dean, Student Affairs, Professor Sahalu Junaidu Balarabi. He was whispering at me, where do we get students? And I said, you know better, because they are all yours. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academics, Professor Raymond Desmabako, our own. Of course, we always say he's our own, and everybody knows he's ours. And who, incidentally, will be the first presenter at today's occasion. The Director, Institute of Education, Professor Abubakar Jumare, the Director, SMP, Professor Jaspat Wisdom, Spaces, the Dean, Faculty of Education, Professor Abdullahi Alhatu, ably represented by the Deputy Dean, Postgraduate, Dr. Nuruddin Akorede, former Dean, Faculty of Education, Professor Tijana Abubakar, former Dean, Faculty of Education, Professor Julius Atamagwani, Head, Department of Art and Social Science Education, Professor Adamu Aliyu, Head, Department of Educational Psychology and Counseling, Professor Ralia Mohammed Bello, Head, Department of Home Economics, Professor Mariam Abubakar, Head, Department of Vocational and Technical Education, Murtala Mohammed Bala, representative of the Head, Library and Information Science, Dr. Ali Lawal, our friend who has always been with us, all the way from Department of Finance, Professor Karoy, the Chairman, Faculty of Education Organized Lecture Series, Professor Sani Mukhtar Bichi, distinguished professors and members of academia, our invaluable resource persons, invited guests from intellectual and public spheres, postgraduate students, undergraduate students, and the future of our nation, ladies and gentlemen. It is with an immense sense of privilege and profound humanity that I rise to accept the mantle of chairman of this distinguished lecture series convened by the icon of Faculty of Education of this citadel of learning, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. To the Dean, Faculty of Education and his dedicated team of academic staff and the entire faculty members, I extend my deepest gratitude for this invitation. It is a call to participate in a conversation that is timely as it is critical, and I am deeply honored to be part of it. We are gathered here today in this historic hall of knowledge to engage in a theme that strikes at a very core of our existence and purpose within the academic community: navigating leadership and academic excellence, insights and strategies for future scholars. Let us take a moment to deconstruct this powerful theme. Navigating implies a journey that is not a calm, chartered lake, but rather through a dynamic and sometimes turbulent waters of the 21st century knowledge economy. It requires a compass, a map, and a skill to read the stars. Our theme today suggests that this compass is a dual instrument calibrated by both leadership and academic excellence. Academic excellence in its purest form is the relentless and disciplined pursuit of truth. It is the rigor of research, the integrity of methodology, the peer-reviewed publication, and the passionate transmission to students. It is about building a career for a foundation of verifiable, impactable scholarship. Leadership, on the other hand, is the capacity to translate that knowledge into vision and action. It is about influence, inspiration, and stewardship. In the context of the academia, it is not the authoritarian leadership of a commander, but the transformative leadership of a mentor, a guide, and an institutional builder. It is the capacity to manage complex systems, to mentor the next generation, to secure resources, and to ensure that university remain a relevant and moral force in society. The true magic, the essential alchemy for the future scholars lies in the fusion of these two concepts together. An excellent scholar without leadership qualities may see their brilliant ideas confined to journal pages. A leader without excellence risks steering the ship without a compass, guided by popularity rather than principle. Our future and the future of our institution depends on cultivating individuals who embody both. Acknowledgement of the distinguished lecturers and scholars for today's occasion. It is a recognition of these vital nexus that we are exceptionally fortunate to have as our navigators today two of the most accomplished captains of our academic industry, who are also products of the Faculty of Education. First, we have Professor Raymond Basmont Bako, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academy of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Professor Bako operates at the very epicenter of academic excellence. His portfolio as SMP in the SMP encompasses the sanctity of our curricula, the quality of our teaching, the fostering of a robust research environment, and the intellectual development of both staff and students. He is, in essence, the chief guardian of the academic soul of this great university. We expect his presentation to be a master class, offering us an internal blueprint on the strategies, challenges, and triumphs of cultivating and sustaining academic excellence from within a complex university system. His insights will be invaluable for anyone seeking to understand the architecture of a world-class academic enterprise. Our second luminary is Professor Abdullahi Musa Ibrahim, the Vice Chancellor, Kaduna State University. To serve as a Vice Chancellor is to bear the ultimate weight of academic leadership. It is a role that demands the wisdom of a scholar, the acumen of chief executive officer, the diplomacy of a statesman, and the resilience of a reformer. Professor Abdullahi Musa, from his vantage point, will provide us with panoramic view of university leadership. We anticipate his lecture will illuminate the facts of strategic visioning, the nuances of stakeholder management, the challenge of resource mobilization, and the profound responsibility of setting a tone of integrity and innovation for the entire academic community. His experiences are a living testament for the theme we are discussing today. To our most important audience, the postgraduate students, the early career academics, the future professors in this hall, I offer a direct challenge to you. See yourself not as passive listeners, but as apprentices. The insights shared today are not merely for your notes, but for your professional DNA. As you listen, please ask yourself, how can I, building a foundation of unassailable academic excellence in my field, what leadership opportunities, however small, in my department, my research group, my student community, can I seize to practice the art of influence and service? How can I ensure that my scholarship does not end in a publication, but begins a conversation that leads to societal transformation? The journey from being a scholar to being a scholar leader is a conscious one. It requires intentionality, and it begins with days like today. The stage is set for an intellectual enriching experience. We have the team that challenges us and speakers who are more than equipped to illuminate it. I was thinking as chairman, I will be the last to speak. The next will be to call on the speakers. But since there are other protocols, Mr. Vice Chancellor, after the speeches that will follow before the actual presentation. Thank you very much.
The chairman of today's occasion, Professor H.I. Bayero. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, next item on the agenda is the LOC chairman's remark. May I invite
Professor Abdullah I. Musa, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdullah I. Musa, the Vice Chancellor, Kaduna State, and this, the second presenter, who happens to be my teacher, my mentor, in pandemic, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. The HODs here present, of the high tables, distinguished guests and gentlemen, and our dear students, Assalamu alaikum. As part of the mandate of Faculty of Education Committee on conference and seminars, we will continue to hold and organize impactful lecture series, workshops, symposia, conferences, seminars, and any other related educational topic that are in line with the objective of national policy of present administration for national development. In line with that, the event today is related to meeting our mandate by bringing together eminent scholars in order to educate, inform, sensitize, enlighten the general public, society, and community at large. This lecture series 2025 theme, Navigating Leadership and Academic Excellence, Insight and Strategy for Future Scholars, is indeed a good and excellent topic for both tertiary institution leadership and interior management, be it at university level, colleges, or related educational institutions. The educational institution chief executives, leadership, you're welcome, sir. Okay, leaders, managers, and young academy will use and apply this lecture series knowledge and experiences before, during, and after being a chief executive of any educational institution, respectively. Finally, on behalf of the dean, staff members, both academic and non-academic, conference and seminars members, students, Faculty of Education, which is regarded as the engine knowledge of great Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, wish to thank the generosity of donors in cash or in kind, also to those who attended this lecture series event. To the Chief Executive of our dear university, that is the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by DBC. And entire university management, more grace to your elbow. And we expect to receive more courage, more effort, and support from you. Thank you all.
Let's get this. Let's get it. Thank you very much, the chairman of the local organizing committee. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while the chairman of the organizing committee, or rather the local organizing committee, was giving his remarks, we're privileged to have in our midst one of our paper presenters for today, the Vice Chancellor of Kaduna State University, KASU, one of our own also in Faculty of Education, Professor Abdullahi Ibrahim Musa. Please can we put our hands together for... Thank you very much, sir. Next is the remarks by the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and at the same time also the declaration of the event. So may I invite the Vice Chancellor of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Muhammad, who is here ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Raymond Bago. Please can we put our hands together for the Vice Chancellor while he comes for his remarks. Thank you.
The Vice Chancellor, Kaduna State University, Professor Abdullahi, the Dean, Student Affairs, Dean, Faculty of Education, the Chairman of the Organizing Committee, Deans, former deans here present, heads of departments, distinguished professors, ladies and gentlemen. You will have noticed that there was a slight back and forth with the protocol. And I had insisted that once a mistake had been made, let us take the mistake to the very logical end. But my colleagues insisted that they represent this, one in several that I believe they are going to organize in the near future. And we want to align ourselves, Faculty of Education, along with other faculties are doing, to raise the standard of intellectual discourse, to deepen our understanding of various themes and various areas of knowledge. And the university will continue to support faculties and units of the university who commit themselves to the promotion of quality intellectual discourse. And I want to assure the Faculty of Education that the university is standing with you, and I will continue to do whatever we can to ensure that the faculty remains the citadel of learning and the engine room of knowledge. I want to personally align myself as a Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and also a member of the family of the Faculty of Education, that I will continue to do my little contribution to ensure that the voices of the first level the university is very aware of the challenge or space that the Faculty of Education is facing, and discussions have been ongoing about the movement of the Faculty of Education to phase 2 by the grace of God, and we are hoping that before the end of tenure of this present administration, that this is likely to happen. So on this note, I want to encourage us, particularly our students who are here, to continue to avail yourselves to lecture series or conferences of this nature, because this is where you learn things that you may not learn in the classroom, and to sharpen your intellectual skills. As we listen to the various lectures, I hope we're going to learn from the experience, and will be enriched at the end of the exercise. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I want to declare this lecture series open to the glory of God. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor, sir. Please can we once again put our hands together for the Vice Chancellor? Now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the main event of the day. And this is where I'll hand over the proceedings of the lecture series to the chairman of today's occasion, Professor H.I. Bello. Thank you. Okay. So the next item is introduction and citation of the first guest speaker. And the first speaker standing while I call on Dr. S.N. Akoridin for the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Please permit me to stand on the earlier established protocol with the intention that I will not includes PhD in information management, information systems specifically, from Imperial State University, United States of America. He obtained a master's in information science, and he has served as a visiting professor and scholar at institutes like University of Illinois, the Mortenson Center for International Program, Empire State University, enriching global perspective and facilitating, including University of Illinois, Empire State University, University of Ibadan, Bayo University, Kano, Ahmadu University, Zaria, and Kaduna State University. His constructivist approach covers subjects from research method and information behavior to competitive intelligence. He has successfully chaired over 12 dissertations. These works address real-world challenges such as diabetes information use, social media in education, the plight of Almajiri children, SME failures in Nigeria, and social narrative around Meishai joints. As the Vice Chancellor of Kaduna State University, he shapes the institution. His previous leadership role included the Department of the Library and Information Science, Ahmadu and University Librarian, both at Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and as well as Kaduna State University, demonstrating a dedication to academic excellence. His earlier career as a sales rep in National Nigerian PLC provided him with invaluable practical insight into fast-moving consumer goods industry, underscoring his professional versatility. His research illuminates how individuals engage with and distort information, especially in public health. He has studied issues like policy formulation, driving a positive change and progress for various institutions and organizations. His versatility is further shown through his design and marketing strategy for companies like Fuhani Nigeria Limited, LG Electronics, Renault Boat Milk, or Handle Petroleum, Coalition Movement of Nigeria, Northern Youth Coalition Movement of Nigeria, and recognition from Ahmadu Bello University and NANS, celebrating his contribution to education, research, and humanity effort. In summary, Professor Abdullahi Musa's resume is a testament to a career marked by unwavering dedication, versatile acumen, and commitment to excellence across academia, leadership, and pioneering public health research, making a significant impact on the institution and the society. The Vice Chancellor, sir, ladies and gentlemen, before you, or I present to you, Professor Abdullahi I. Musa, who is supposed to lecture on pathway to leadership, insight from a Vice Chancellor journey and experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. The chairman, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Let me begin by sincerely apologizing for my inability to be here early enough. This is because of some issues that came up just at the time I was about to begin my journey. Mr. Chairman, sir, the Vice Chancellor, and the organizers, I apologize. Some weeks back, my former HOD from the Department of Library and Information Science, Dr. Habib, sent me a message that I'm selected to speak in the Faculty of Education. When I went through the title, immediately I saw the title, two things came to my mind. Either that I will fail these exams if it is an examination, or the examiners who set the exams need to go on tutorial on how to set examination questions. Because by mere looking at the title of the presentation, immediately I know that I am bound to fail, because the title says I should speak on pathway to leadership, insight from a vice chancellor's journey and experiences. If I'm to speak about the pathway to leadership, we are in the academia. We have series of textbooks. We have professors of public administration. We have professors of educational administration and management. They are the best position to speak on that topic. So that counts me out. So probably it's a trap. If you look at it from a religious point of view, pathway to leadership is very simple. It is stated in the Quran. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created us, has made it explicitly clear. He didn't mean so. That leadership is his exclusive preserve. He gives leadership to whom he desires. And he takes it at any time. So you see, I'm justifying that whoever coined this topic is setting a trap for me. Then insight from a vice chancellor's journey and experiences. Probably that gives me a little bit of comfort because we are talking about insight. Now, even if we are talking about insight, it's still a trap. Because if I'm sharing my insight, the experiences I will share, my insight depends on the audiences. If I'm speaking with senior members of management, there are certain things I will share with them from my own insight. I know what I will tell them as an insight. If I'm speaking to junior academics aspiring to middle-level career, there are specific insights I will share with them. Each phase of career progression has its own story. So it is with this in mind that I do not want those who coined this title to be sent back to classroom. And I don't also want a situation where we can adopt if there are certain burning issues, A, B, C, D, tick. How did you overcome challenge? Or it can be just any other thing. I will, before the question and answer session, probably I want to share a little bit of generic insight. And the first one, I have already made mention of it. Leadership is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no question about it. Every single person, even before we are born, Allah has created a pathway for everybody. And we can do very little to change that pathway. But if we are talking about experiences, about what to become a leader, I think, in my own best opinion, every person is a leader in his own right. If you are a monitor, if you are a wife, if you are a husband, And for every single opportunity that is given to us to lead as individuals, there are certain parameters that we have to take into consideration. The ultimate question is whether in our position of leadership, we are conscious of those parameters. If we are conscious about those parameters, it's for us to identify and write them down and consciously imbibe those parameters in a way that every day you wake up, you look at those parameters. If you are a teacher, for instance, the key parameter is that you are the leader of every single classroom you are facilitating. Am I right? So there are parameters of being a good teacher. How many of us as teachers, and I'm serious about this, come to school before they step themselves in the faculty, are aware that, yes, I have a class, let's say 11 to 1 p.m. I'm supposed to teach urbanization or urban crime. And there are 13 key points that I am supposed to put across to students within the span of what? 2 hours. That I will facilitate. At least no student will leave that classroom without having knowledge of 5 of those concepts. And then you giving them assignment that will allow them to learn on their own the remaining 8 concepts. These are the kind of parameters. But what do we see in the classroom? Because we are not conscious of the task ahead of us. Yes, attendance is good, but we spend 30 minutes taking what? Attendance. Yes, dress code is excellent. We spend another 10 minutes talking about how to dress well. Yes, making noise is bad in class. Somebody make noise, you spend the next 15 minutes castigating that student. When you have 13, I'm just giving you an example of what it takes to move forward and to pave way as a leader. If you are a husband, there are certain parameters. Being a husband is a leadership position. Being a wife is a leadership position. So it goes on and on and on and on. If you take this simple example, you can translate it into either a framework or a theory. Is there in the textbook? What does that mean? It means that every leader, at whatever level you are, you must ensure that you have a vision. You must ensure that you have what? A focus. Having a vision, having a focus through mission is not just enough. It has to be translated into goals. Having goals is not enough. It has to be translated into specific objectives, into tasks. Now here is a takeaway. If as a leader, people don't, if they see you, they don't feel comfortable. Goals into objectives, objectives into tasks. Your role as a leader is to ensure that every single task is what? Is achieved. Now take Nigerian context. How many of us, if I say us, everybody, from the man on the street to the people we assume as leaders, to the person doing the work, how many of us know exactly what our taxes are? How many of us? And to insist that those tasks must be accomplished. So if you are a leader, and in the Nigerian society we are today, tasks to be accomplished, somebody must provide that oversight. And in that oversight that we are what? Having a focus. So those who are in the nation will know that I have mentioned having a focus. Then focus must be translated into what? Have a strategy. So since we are talking about insight, let me buttress what this means. 3 years ago, when I put in my application for VC sheet, I never knew that 3 months before, after, I mean, three months before the appointment, those in authority have went through the CVs. And as God will have it, there is something I put in the CV that caught the attention of the selection board. What caught the attention is simple. Strategic planning. How do you transform an institution as, in one sense, in 2 words, strategic planning? As they are trying to make a choice, they came through the back door. And they asked me to submit a paper, a blueprint on how council can be transformed. That casually, I never knew the game plan. Casually, 3-4 pages, how will council be transformed? It never occurred to me that it's part of what? It never occurred to me because it was said casually just by the roadside that somebody at the higher authority wanted to see that. They said how many pages? 3 to 4 pages. You know how many words I submitted? Strategic planning, I just expatiated that to transform an institution, not only council, it requires strategic planning. And I sent it to an email. So do you see what I'm talking about? It's all about what? Having a focus. If I wanted, because they said 4 pages, I will write 4 pages, I will write trash. But as far as I'm concerned, infrastructure, facilities, and equipment cannot transform an institution. While I was at the university in Kaduna State University, I do know that I have a responsibility as a leader to provide information services, to support research, to support teaching, and to support learning. The first thing I told myself was to tell myself the truth, that CASU has one of the worst university libraries in terms of what? Building. But I told myself, you see, that in itself is what? If I have taken that, it will be a defeatist tendency. But I simply told myself, buildings and infrastructures don't make a library. What makes a library tick is the service. So I simply said, look, I am turning into this library, inshallah, to be one of the best in Africa in terms of service. And I sat down, I came up with 30 services. Some of the services, very few are traditional. Most of the services are innovative. Majority are outside, are out of the box. We can't find them anywhere. I came up with 30 key services. And I told myself, with these 30 services, inshallah, that's number one. Number two, they are either taking the librarian with them or they are taking the library if they can. Then number three, do we have a Department of Library and Information Science in CASU that will be training future librarians? So the point is, the second point in the marking scheme, Mr. Chairman, will be you need to turn challenges into opportunities. Marking scheme. Turning challenges into opportunities require to be highly focused, regardless of people's store or not. You are highly what? Focused. And I will still share with you my experiences. The first step the first thing that I did was to send as many staff of the library as possible for higher degree. I went into that library, the staff are afraid to apply. They are afraid not because they don't want to spend 10,000 naira. It's the 10,000 that is their problem. They don't want to spend. So I met staff that were there for 10 years. They didn't move an inch. I persuaded them to. They thought it's business as usual. So what I did was to go and beg the VC. I begged the VC. And I'm telling you that also requires what? To be highly focused. My first contact with the VC, I told him that. I never met him from others. My first contact, I told him that, sir, give me 1 hour of your time. I'll come with what? A strategic plan on how to reposition that library. He gave me a time the following day. When I went, I said, sir, switch your phone. Yeah, because I need 1 hour of dedication. He switched it off. I said, sir, I will ask your PA. Nobody should interrupt us. I went through those 30 services with him. And I said, please, I want your buy. He said, you got it. It's very important. So the first thing I did was to support the employees, meaning you can't do it alone. So marking scheme number 3, sir, you can't do it alone. You cannot do it alone. You need the support of your superiors, you need the support of your peers, you need the support of your subordinate. But the key thing is what? Focus. You need to have a focus. You need to have a focus. And it's that focus that will be pushing me. Every day I wake up, I would like 20 students castle. Over 1,500 staff.
Presenter, or rather, our first speaker, the Vice Chancellor of Kaduna State. And this is indeed a first-hand experience, a practical experience coming from, someone who has that you have shared with us. A lot of us have actually learned how to navigate our journeys through, certain leadership positions. Of the chairman, sir, may I humbly and respectfully request that our second speaker rise and please remain standing while I call on Dr. R.E. Omahaba for the citation.
Good afternoon, everyone present. Thank you for this opportunity. Standing on the existing protocol, I'm here to read out the citation of Professor Raymond Bako. Professor Raymond B. Bako, born March 6, 1958, is a distinguished academic and administrator, currently serving as a Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Nigeria. His educational journey began at Ekwa Primary School, Kafanchan, from 1965 to 1971, followed by his secondary education at Kofina College, Zaria, from 1972 to 1976. He then proceeded to Katsina College of Arts, Science and Technology, Zaria, where he completed his interim joint matriculation board studies. Professor Raymond Bako earned a Bachelor of Arts in Education History from ABU in 1982 before obtaining a master's degree in Philosophy of Education from the University of Jos in 1988. His academic pursuit culminated in a PhD in Philosophy of Education from the same university in 2007. Professor Raymond joined ABU as an assistant lecturer in 1990 and steadily progressed through academic rank, becoming a professor in 2013. His career has marked significant achievements, including being a Fulbright scholar at the University of Maryland College Park, USA in 1988. He also served as a national president of the Fulbright Alumni Association of Nigeria from 2010 to 2014, demonstrating his commitment to fostering education, academic collaboration, and leadership. Professor Bako was secretary of the Philosophers of Education Association of Nigeria, PAN, in 2007, during which he organized annual conferences of PAN in Ahmadu Bello University. Administrative responsibility, Professor Raymond Bako has deeply involved in research and curriculum development. He played a key role as a pioneer central director of the African Center of Excellence on New Pedagogies in Education, in Engineering Education, SMP at ABU, where he contributed to innovative teaching and teaching strategies and pedagogical advancements. His research focused on enhancing engineering education through new teaching methods, including the use of desktop learning modules in engineering education in African University. As Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Bako is responsible for overseeing the university academic program, maintenance of higher education standard and facilitating curriculum development. Leadership continues to strive the university mission of academic excellence and innovation, reinforcing ABU's position as a leading institution in Nigeria. With his extensive experience in education and administration, he remains a key figure in shaping the future of academic learning at Ahmadu, Bello University and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby present to you Professor Raymond B. Bako. Thank you very much.
That latter introduction. I think as academics, we want to remain silent and just do the job at hand. I want to thank the Faculty of Education for asking me to make a presentation to this lecture series. I was going to decline, citing very tight schedules as a reason not to make a presentation. But when I saw that the first presenter was going to be the Vice Chancellor of Kaduna State University, presentation, as the Deputy Vice Chancellor, I can't be any more busier than him. So I accepted to make this presentation, even when I was not ready for the presentation. And I can tell you that this presentation was prepared this morning. I woke up as early as 5, and I was in my study. My wife had to come and knock to say, "It's all well, are you okay?" And I told her I was very okay. I was preparing for this presentation. So it is my singular pleasure to be here. I was asked to discuss with you, exploring opportunities and overcoming challenges in securing academic grants. What I'm going to be discussing is not necessarily anything new. There are things most of us already know. Some of us are grant winners in our own right. And therefore, this opportunity is to remind us about some of the things that we need to do if we want to continue to win grants and to be able to support us to carry out our teaching and research activities. So, by slide, please. By way of outline, we'll be asking ourselves some key questions. And in answering those questions, we'll be able to address what we are trying to achieve. So the basic question is, what is an academic grant? And then we'll be looking at exploring grant opportunities, and then basic elements of grant proposal, and then avoiding challenges in grant seeking, and then we'll have a final talk on grant writing. Permit me, as a teacher, I don't want to stand in one place, so this camera people, you have to excuse me. Our basic objective as teachers, because in putting slides together, we want to always constantly remind ourselves that in teaching, you must always clearly state your objectives. Otherwise, the learning experiences will not be properly guided. And so, what will guide us is we need to remind ourselves of what are academic grants. We'll explore avenues for academic grant opportunities. We'll enumerate the basic elements of a grant proposal. We'll identify challenges in grant proposal writing and how to overcome them. And we'll reflect on best practices in academic grant proposal writing. I know there are great educators here, and when they see objectives, they want to go back to Bloom's taxonomy and begin to ask questions. So, permit me that this is our objectives. So the question is, what is a grant? We all know what is a grant. For those of us who have benefit from grants. But simply put, a grant is a conditional gift of funds, but with strings attached. Any grant, if it is a grant, it looks superficially as a free gift. But underlying that free gift, there are strings attached. So when you're applying for a grant, you have to know that the person who is giving you the grant has a purpose, has an objective that he wants met. And in giving you that grant, he wants to make sure that he ties your hands and your legs in the grant to achieve his own objective. And so it is very, very important as we come to see. Next slide. Types of grants, and our focus is on academic grants. There are basically 5 academic grants. The first one is a research grant, which we all know. You have a research to carry out. You can apply for a grant. And if the funding agency is happy, for example, TED Fund, they will give you the grant. A number of us here have achieved or received TED Fund grants, either IBR or NRS. There are grants that are meant to execute a particular project. It's not a research. For example, as somebody from vocational and business education department, I can write a proposal to say, I want to train 50 women in entrepreneurial skills. That's not a research, right? That's a project grant that we are looking for. So you are looking for somebody to support you, give you money to be able to train 50 women to acquire entrepreneurial skills. That's what we mean when we talk about project grants. And study grants. Study grants are like fellowship grants, scholarships, postdoc. These qualify as study grants. From my citation, we are told that I was at the University of Maryland, College Park, as a Fulbright scholar. That was a study grant for 1 year. So that's what we mean by a study grant. Then there are conference grants, either to organize a conference or to attend a conference. So if you're organizing a conference, you can seek for grants. There might be people, there might be organizations who will be willing to support you because they key into the theme of that conference. You can also apply for a grant to attend a conference. There are organizations in Canada, in Germany, in the UK, in the US, and you send your proposal to them with probably the paper you plan to present at that conference. They may be excited about what you are doing and what you are writing, and they may be willing to support you to attend that conference. That is what is meant by a conference grant. Then there are travel grants. You have a conference to attend, for example, and the conference organizers have told you that they are going to provide accommodation for you, they are going to provide feeding, they are going to provide local transportation, that you should be able to take care of the rest. Now they've left you with the most difficult one, how to get there. You can look around, you can apply for a travel grant to say, here's my application, here's my invitation, this is the paper I'm going to be presenting, and the organizers have accepted to provide me feeding, accommodation, and local transportation. So all I'm looking for is a ticket from you to travel for that conference. You may be lucky to find organizations who will provide you a ticket. They may not give you money, but they will send you an e-ticket for you to be able to attend that conference. So basically, these are the 5 key types of academic conferences that are available for us. So depending on what you are doing and what your focus is, and that are available. But the question still also arises, why do we need a grant? Why do you need a grant? After all, you are being paid salaries. Why can't you use your own funds? The simple question is that we are employed, the employment letter, says teaching and research. You have to promote your discipline through teaching and research. I want to believe that the employment letters today also carry community service. So these are basically why we are employed in the university. The teaching component is much easier to deal with and to handle. We go to class, we teach, we assess students, we mark scripts, we submit results. So we are actually doing the teaching aspect of our responsibility. Even when the facilities are not exactly state of the art, we still manage. I remember in the Faculty of Education, some of our courses, over 2,000 students, the big lecture theaters. Even when I come in, I manage to just navigate to the podium, and everybody is sitting around me, in spite of that, we still manage to teach. So the teaching aspect of our responsibility is well carried out. The community service is something that, of course, we do. Organizations invite you, you go and give papers, they invite you to be chairman of this, they invite you to be secretary of that. Through your research, you are impacting the community. So there are many things that we are doing that we are impacting the community. So that also is something that we are able to do. But the research component is the most difficult. Why is it the most difficult? Because good research costs money. Good research costs money. And unfortunately, the university, neither the government, is able to provide the kind of resources that teachers, professors require to carry out very good researches. And so research is expensive. And because research is expensive, if you can get some more grants to support the work that we are doing. And that is what we are talking about. And I'll just give you an example, that in the US, for example, professors earn salaries for only 9 months in the year. The remaining 3 months, they have to depend on their research grants. So it means from January, as a professor, you have to work hard to make sure that you attract some grants, so that after the 9 months, you still have some money from your research grant to survive. Or otherwise, you have to save from your salary to be able to survive the last 3 months. Maybe we should introduce that in Nigeria, right? To be HOD of a department, what they call chair of the department, does not depend on consultation or whatever you call it. It depends on who has the highest grant in the department. So if you want to be a head of department, go and get the highest following, not popularity contest. And many universities don't admit PhD students the way we do. We advertise, they buy forms, we admit them. After admitting them, then they say, Professor Chong, we are allocating 5 students to you. Professor Zuberu, we are giving you 2 students. That's not how it works in other places. In other places, it is professors in the discipline who have grants that receive students. They are the ones who recommend students to the university. Admit this student, I want him to work with me before the university can admit you. And admitting you means you are going to be his student. He has money, he has grants that you can carry out your research. And many PhD students, or those of you who school abroad, did your PhD, you agreed with me that you are earning money from your supervisors. I know a young man here in ABU who was in the US who was earning over $1,000 every month as a PhD student. And so, anytime you say, look, I'm earning twice your salary as a student. You know. So, but it speaks to the fact that grants are so important that they support, students, PhD students in particular. Next slide, please. What are the benefits of winning grants? Very straightforward, self-realization. When you win a grant, there's that satisfaction that you work very hard. For those of you who have won some grants, whether TED Fund or some other foreign grants, you get a sense of satisfaction that you have worked so hard to put this proposal together, and eventually it has yielded fruit, and you achieve that. Unless when you are writing the grant, you are very foolish. Are you following? Any grant that you get, it enhances your financial position. It enhances your financial position. You don't need to depend on the system. You don't need to depend on the system. So, grant databases, if you want, in your specific area, and it will pop up, it will show you, it will show you, it will show you where you need to go so that you know where you get your grant. One very big grant database is grants.gov. It's a US database. You will see just either an information, and you see it that there is this grand opportunity. Directorate of Research and Innovation. Social media also, people are sharing all kinds of grand opportunities almost every day on social media. So, of course, there are so many that are also fake. So you have to be very discerning, you have to be very careful. Otherwise, some people will just collect your hard-earned money. And then, of course, true colleagues are friends. Friends, colleagues can always draw our attention to a grant that is available. Next, let's move fast. Okay, overcoming challenges in grant seeking. The most important thing in grant seeking, one of the major challenges that we have and the mistakes that we make is in putting our team together. We are so, straight-jacketed that if we have a proposal to write, we bring only people from our department. We bring only our friends. It doesn't work that way. You must look at the theme of what you want to write, and then look at the relevant stakeholders and go out and get the people from those areas that can fit into your proposal. You are in education, you are writing a proposal that has to do with engineering. Go to engineering and identify somebody that can be part of your team. If you need somebody from sociology, if you need somebody from medicine, go and bring them to be part of your team. Don't bring people that will not play a major role or make a contribution to your team. And as much as possible, your team must be multidisciplinary and multi-talented. So make sure you assemble the right kinds of people for your project. That's the first thing that makes many people fail in seeking for grants. In 2018, when I was putting together a team for the SMP project, I came up with the idea, along with my colleagues, about engineering education. But when you look at the project is actually about education and not engineering. But in accomplishing that education task of new pedagogies, you needed people from engineering. And in engineering, I was able to bring 4 different people from 4 different engineering departments. And then I brought my colleagues from education. Some of them didn't know what it was. I just said, I'm going to put your name in the project we are doing. And that was what it was. And when we met with the engineers and we brainstormed over the topic and what we wanted to do, they also realized that this project is an education project. And therefore, the person who can lead this project successfully must be somebody from education. And they agreed that I should be the center director. So it is very, very important from the onset that you are very clear about what you want to do with your project. Then carefully review the request for proposal and application guidelines. That's another challenge that we have. Even with the TED form, many of us don't read the proposal guidelines. We rush to fill the form without actually taking time to go through the proposal guidelines. The proposal guideline is usually multi. And if you read through, they'll always tell you, don't complete this form without reading the proposal guidelines. They'll always remind you. But people choose to ignore it. They just read some of the summaries that were sent and they think they are okay. It is only when you go to the guidelines that you understand the thinking of the person who wants to give you the grant and what he wants done. That way you'll be able to craft your proposal to meet what he wants to achieve, while you also meeting what you want to achieve. So it becomes a win-win situation for both of you. And this includes deadlines and submission guidelines. If you go there with the guidelines, you see all of that. Funding range, your maximum grant award. So that you know the range. How much are you supposed to be applying for? How should your budget be like in applying for the grants? Then, of course, funding focus. What is the focus of the research? Then application format. Different grants have different application formats, so it's not the same for all grants. So you need to study it and understand it. Know the requirements. Then allowable and non-allowable expenses. Some grants will tell you that don't use our money for refreshment. And so you cannot include refreshment when you are writing your budget lines. It will be rejected. So you have to follow everything. Their eligibility criteria. Are you eligible? Go to the eligibility criteria to see whether you are qualified for that grant. One grant may say that we are looking for young academics who have a master's degree, but you are already a professor. So you are out. Don't waste your time. So you have to know whether that grant you are asking for, whether you are qualified. Then there are other criteria and eligibility. A grant may come for Nigerians, and they will tell you Nigerians who are living in Nigeria. So if you are in UK or elsewhere and you need that grant, you are disqualified because you are not in Nigeria. So you have to understand, you have to know the eligibility criteria. Next. Then these are the common elements of a proposal. We have all written proposal before, but these are just the common elements: cover sheet, which gives general application information, table of contents, abstract, brief, concise, executive summary. That's where you have mission statement, the background, problem of the statement, goals and objectives, project design, methodology, evaluation, and then you have your attachments. They are going to request resumes and all kinds of things. Then the review process, you need to review after you have written your proposal. Review it and make sure that you check some of these things. You know, spell check and review grammar, compare sections to conduct criteria, check to ensure each section flows and is logical, recheck all your maths, especially at the budget level. You are formatting to make sure that they're okay. If you are uploading online, ensure that you are using the version of the work that they are prescribed. If it is cut and paste, ensure that your word count is appropriate, because they may give you word counts for each field and say not more than 500 words or 1,500 words. Make sure that you don't exceed, you know, to attach all requested documents, and then you submit your proposal. Yes, quickly. Now you wait. After you have submitted, now is waiting time. The RFA or website should indicate when to expect notification. Usually they will tell you you should expect notification from us by so and so time. Don't contact the funder about the status notification dates have expired. Be patient. Don't begin to send to them as if you are begging. You are not supposed to do that. Wait for them. Then promptly acknowledge notification, even if the answer is no. Appreciate them from their time and from you reviewing the application. Yes, and then look at why did they say no, for example. If you get it, fine. But if they say no, there are lessons learned. You know, maybe it means that you didn't include everything they required, did not follow word or page count limits, submitted irrelevant material, didn't follow their binding requirements, misspelled words and tabulation errors, missed the deadline, because some of them are very strict. If they say 12 midnight, if you don't submit, the portal will not open for you. You know, Nigerians are very good at begging. No begging. You won't see anybody to beg. So it closes, it closes. You know, then your problem isn't a problem. The problem you said you wanted to solve, it didn't amount to any problem because it didn't make it look so. Your solution doesn't address the problem. You have a problem, but the solution you propose is not aligning to the problem you want to solve, and then no measurable objectives to determine the progress. Yes. Final thoughts. Follow guidelines and criteria exactly. Proposal should be comprehensive, clear, and concise. Review, revise, and then review again. Get an outsider to proofread. It is always good when you write your proposal that you get a senior person to take a second look at it. Even if you are a professor, get another to take a second look at your proposal. Don't be buried in pride. It doesn't help, you know. And I've worked with several professors who have been humble enough to write proposals and bring to me, and I look at it and I make corrections, and they've been quite a number of them successful. So anything you are doing, always look for somebody to have a second look and give you an advice. Then spend funds as indicated in your proposal. Make sure you follow the proposal, the guidelines, and make sure that all your reports and your reporting conform to the specified conditions. You know, keep records of activities, receipts, tests, and results. You have to keep all your records. In S&P, if you go to S&P website and you go to documents, you'll be amazed the number of documents we have there. Because everything we do, we upload it to our website. It is meant for the outside world. The world must see what we are doing to ensure that there is transparency and accountability. And that's why we are very, very comfortable with ourselves. Because anything we do, we are following our approved work plan. So you have to follow what you said you are going to do for your funders to have confidence in you. And then prepare and submit reports to funders on time. You know, there are so many reports that we submit. Of course, like I said, if you go to our website, you see all our reports, different kinds of reports. You know, so you must be prepared to work hard. Getting a grant is not just getting the money and sitting back and begin to spend and enjoy life. You know, like we were told, a group of people in one university got LRF grants, and it was a senior professor that was their PI, that the moment the money was paid into his account, he disappeared. And so they were looking for him all over the place. The man had gone back to his village to complete his project. You know, so grants are not meant for you to do that. You know, make sure you do the right thing. Remember, it's a law of averages. Only 5 to 10% of submitted proposals are funded. If you write 10 proposals and you get one successfully, you have done extremely very well. So don't get tired, like I'm saying. Don't give up. You know, most failed proposals either by the same organization or another organization. Anytime an organization says, we regret to inform you, it's another layer of experience and it's another layer of learning for you to take into the next proposal that you are learning. It is a learning process. Nobody was born, nobody came and became learning. We learned it gradually but steadily over time. I was applying for small grants, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, you know, up to when we got $2.8 million in 2008, and then in 2018, we got a $5 million grant. And so These grants have helped me not to look at the university. It has helped me to be comfortable in my pocket and to be doing my own life and living my life. And up to today, I rely on grants to live my life. So, like I said, it is very important for us to focus on grants. The university does not have money to give you. I've seen applications written to the Vice Chancellor, and usually we minute it to me. People apply to the Vice Chancellor that they want to attend conference in Port Harcourt. The university should give them this and that and that. I just look at it and say, this one, there is no show for you because there is no money. Are you following? There is no money. The university does not have money to give you those kinds of money. So you have to look elsewhere so that you can take care of yourself and you can develop yourself and help yourself. And once you get a grant, the university is happy with you. And it opens opportunities for you. I don't want to say more than that. But it is very important that we focus on getting grants. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, can we once again put our hands together for the second speaker, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Professor Raymond Papo, who also doubles as the center leader of the African Center of Excellence on New Pedagogies in Engineering Education, SMP. Once again, thank you very much, sir. And I hope all academics here who have never won grants before will eventually win grants, in their academic career. Thank you so much, sir. And quickly, ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the next item on the agenda, may I acknowledge the presence of Dr. Peter Mate Milola from the Federal University of Education, Zaria. You're welcome, sir. And then also the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor Shamsuddin Mohammed. You're welcome, sir. The Head of Department of Sociology, Dr. Bashir Abubakar. You're welcome, sir. And may I also acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Director, School of Basic and Remedial Studies, Dr. Lawal Hamisu. You're welcome, sir. And then, of course, a former director of the School of Basic and Remedial Studies, a renowned teacher in the Faculty of Education, Professor Mama Musa. You're welcome. Now, with the permission of the chairman, we move to the next item, which is question and answer session, sir. With your permission, sir.
Thank you very much, our presenters. In fact, we are all convinced and believe beyond reasonable doubt that you have done more than they expected. We have no doubt whatsoever in our mind that you will take us to the promised land. And you have actually done so. But before moving to the question and answer, I want to say something. Everybody will be out and that your education is different. Can never be better until when you are different. When I look at the caliber of people around, it is wonderful. Look at almost all the professors in the faculty, Mr. Vice Chancellor, are physically present. You can see Professor A. Laden, Professor Chike Ogoro, Professor Ghana, Professor Suleiman Zuberu, Professor Yakubu Wakili, Professor Abubakar Shika, Professor Ilya Malam, Professor E. Chong, Professor Mustafa Ibrahim Abdullahi, Professor Shitu, and you can see the academics and professors in the making all around. Professor Aliu Mohammed, Professor Sani, Professor Dr. Sani, Dr. Shafiu, Lawal Bakar, Dr. Idris Dauda, Dr. Habibu, Dr. Rogo, Dr. Buhari, Dr. Hussein Abdullahi. Oh, even Professor A. Dada, Dr. Lawal Tambaya, Dr. Enyaro, Dr. Ibebi, Dr. Musa, Dr. Awal, and who is that? Is it Dr. Halima, Malan Shamsuddin? I think we are all here to show our commitment. It's ongoing, and I think they compel that he has to declare lecture free for 4 hours, between 10 to 2 o'clock, to enable us to attend. So, interestingly, we have had the presentation from our two distinguished academicians. Professor Abdullahi Musa started with challenging questions and saying that we have designed it deliberately to make him fail. We know you cannot fail, but you have given us an interesting and difficult marking scheme. But at the same time, you provided answers to the marking scheme. Now you have actually said that power comes from God and it is only God who gives power. But interestingly, we know that there are 3 stages in life. There was yesterday, there was today, and there will be tomorrow. But interestingly, yesterday have gone. The point is of today. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. And interestingly, the organizers have actually researched that among us, you are the only one who is today a serving vice chancellor. And they deliberately posed this question to you that you should give us your insight as a vice chancellor. And actually, you have said a lot. And interestingly, you have mentioned the strategic planning, which has helped you to achieve your objectives. And I think what is important is that power is learned and not earned. And what is important is not how long you stay in the office, but how much have you delivered. Also, we have had an interesting presentation because for the leadership, particularly for vice chancellorship and for your experience, it focuses on very few of us will become vice chancellors. But for the grant seeking, in other words, exploring opportunities and passing the challenges, each and every one of us will want to acquire grant. Both the professors, the people in the making, and more interestingly, the young colleagues and the postgraduate students. Mr. Vice Chancellor, let me say also on behalf of the faculty and specifically the lecture organizing committee, Professor Momo Musa is a retired professor who is not tired and who is willing and ever ready at any point in time to answer the request of Faculty of Education. Professor Momo Musa, you are most welcome. So I don't know, how are we going to control the question and the answer? Because I know there are many questions to be asked. But I don't know, how are we going to do it? Mr. Vice Chancellor, sorry, we are not abandoning you. We know you have a lot of challenges. But members of staff of the Faculty of Education, remember that Professor Raymond Bao is our own. In spite of the tasky challenges that he has in the office, let us, particularly in terms of dating of research proposal where we have one, we must be seeing him. And Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, we will give you some time, you will take it home and cross-examine it so that the Faculty of Education will attract many grants because it is very helpful. And the reason why I added that when you mention of family, I also added friends, because we know as your friends what we have achieved through your center. And as I was saying, one of the head of the department, Professor Bello, said we should also include colleagues, because as colleagues, it was also equally beneficial. So members, how are we going to organize ourselves? And I would also like to specifically and exceptionally recognize Dr. Peter Matemilola from Federal University of Education, Zaria. We know this man is not only part of us, but he is always with us. So how are we going to go about the question and answer? Do we restrict it to 3-3? 3-3? Yes, but I think I will not neglect students. Students, please be part of the question and answer. So,
Thank you very much, Chairman, sir. Like the chairman said, we will take 3 from this row, 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, and then 3 from the back, 3 from the top. I think. Okay. Sir.
there will also be questions from members of the
From the members of the high table. Okay, sir. So, do we better take 2-2, sir? 2-2. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank the 2 presenters for very eloquent presentations. And I hope I was not misinformed when I wanted to get a diploma in education. I was asked to go to the Institute of Education. So I went there, but now I am better educated that in the faculty, there is money. There was no money, there was no talking about money. And you know, we attach money to everything we do. So I don't know whether I can use my diploma. Now the question is to the chairman. And graduate to the faculty and start degree with that diploma. So that I'll enjoy this money that is coming from the DVC. Actually, I have 2 questions, one for the first presenter and second for the second presenter. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, Mal Abdullahi is a friend and a mentor. So now, Mal Abdullahi, I want to know, how are you managing or balancing that your, let me put it in quote, your maybe courage and the politicians you are dealing with? How do you reconcile that? But off record. I know it very well, so I've been wondering how has he been managing them. That's my question to really is about money, my DVC academics. I wrote a book and got a little money from TED Fund. And that encouraged me to start writing a very, very important research. I've searched and I've not seen that type of research in Nigeria. I target Kano Spank. Spank means spirit. Kano is not the Kano state you know. K is for Kano. A is for Aba. N is for Inewi. And O is for Onitsha. We want to trace this entrepreneurship, the history of entrepreneurship in Nigeria, because it is said that in Kano, there was somebody that was financing the Hajj in Saudi Arabia about 200 years ago, a business. And then it was said that the father of Ojukwu was the first richest black man in Africa. And then the mother of Aminu Dantata, who died at the age of 94, his mother was one of the best estate managers in Nigeria. So we want to trace this. And wherever you go in Nigeria, if you have 10 businessmen, believe you me, 80% of them are from these towns, either from Kano or from Aba or from Inewi or from Onitsha. So I want to trace this. It's very important because the issue is that maybe we started entrepreneurship when Europe was in its dark ages. So I want to trace this. So Augusta, there's need for a lot of money. Thank you, sir.
So we take two here. Anybody from this side? Anybody from? Only one? Oh, you?
Members of the high table. Good afternoon, members of the high table. My question is it this grant, is it strictly for the postgraduate or the professors, or the students have the opportunity to apply on their graduation?
Good afternoon, sir. My question goes to the Vice Chancellor Council. Sir, my question is, in your presentation, you lay much emphasis on the organizational objective. So how does your employee take care of his own personal goal, personal objective? Do you feel that you cannot work with an organization without having your own personal objective for your own career progression or career development? So are you having it easy or sure of the employee putting his effort in doing the work? Because he's only focusing on the organizational objectives. Thank you, sir.
Please, Waziri, let him repeat himself.
I said, sir, in your presentation, you mentioned your key point as having organizational objective, and you focus on organizational objective. So how do you now consider your employee that is also looking at his own personal objective? Okay, so how are you sure that the person will do well in achieving the organizational objective as well as his own personal objective for his own career progression or development? Thank you, sir.
Anybody from this side?
All protocols duly observed. My question or comment goes to the second presenter. I've observed over the years that the question of grant writing and winning grants has to do with research culture. So my question is, what is the institution doing to inculcate and develop this research culture? Because without the research culture, it's going to be difficult to be able to write a good proposal and secure the grants. And doing this requires deliberate action, particularly with regards to our postgraduate programs. We need to really look at our postgraduate programs to develop this research culture from the academic staffs into the postgraduate programs so that we'll be able to have this capacity to write for research program. Because writing grants is beyond just going for 1 day, 2-3 hours workshop and then going away. We have to build a culture. So the university needs to look into developing research clusters and then looking into our postgraduate curriculum to inculcate this culture so that we can be able to be better research grants writers. Thank you.
All protocols duly observed. My question goes to the second speaker. Sir, with your topic pertaining grant, I believe there was a new project that the Nigerian government went to giving grant to students, and which we, the LBT students, I believe we are not involved in that student grant. So I would like to know, to have a little view and understanding.
I think it's better we differentiate between research grant and NEL fund. I think from, based on my own perception, you were referring to NEL fund.
The Vice Chancellor, Ahmadu Bello University and Council, all other protocols duly observed. I have these few questions to ask, and the questions go to the second presenter. My number one question is, how often can one receive this grant? How often is one qualified to receive this grant? The number two question says, if somebody makes a trial and he is denied, maybe because he didn't meet the demands, is there a space for second chance? My number three question says, please, because I was trying to pick all that we are taught here, but I wasn't that fast enough to follow you bomber to bomber, sir. Can the material be made available to students at different departments for maybe future use? And I want to make this plea. We are talking of research, and LBT students, we came to study, and that study has much to do with research. Personally, I think that the time we have is so much limited, and sometimes assignments for demanding research come plenty within a week, and we will have a very limited time to make research, and because of that, we resort to internet cafe. All these computer centers in ABU, they earn much from us. We give them our work, the research printout we submit, but we are not doing that work ourselves. I don't know if the period, the duration can be looked at to enable us research better. Thank you, sir.
All protocols duly observed. My question centers around the leadership and academic excellence, which is the theme. And it has to go directly to the first speaker. Let me say this. The entire leadership activity centers towards producing students who are academically sound. How can leadership be very amiable and accessible to students that most of the time the leadership of the institution seems to maybe have some characteristics of being a terror? Let me say so, please, unquote. That some students find it very scary to approach some offices so as to be able to get the academic excellence which the leadership is looking for. So please, how can we settle such issues? Thank you. I'm Mr. Aliako Josephat.
Thank you very much. Let me take a while and commend the EC and Deputy Vice Chancellor for a job well done. I must confess that we are thoroughly and roundly satisfied with their presentation, so much so that I did not even want to say, ask any question. But then I say in academic environment, wherever there is presentation, there's a need for us to ask questions or throw challenge. My first question goes to the second presenter, the Deputy Vice Chancellor. In his course of presentation, I agree that he has comprehensively delivered all aspects of this issue of grants. One area that has not been touched, which I feel is very important, is the area of enticing or attracting, area that will facilitate easier securing of grants. This has not been touched. You know, many people are applying for the same thing. Certainly there is high competition. What is it that somebody applying for grant should do that he should have a greater advantage over others? For example, the issue of M&E, stating clearly, this is how you are going to monitor whatever you said you are going to do. What are the deliverables that can be vividly seen to convince those who are going to give the grant that you mean business? This is my first question. For my Vice Chancellor, my simple question is, I must confess that all these schemes are indeed very educative. But one area equally that has not been taught, I don't know whether it is important or not, but I feel it's important, is the area of feasibility study. Whatever you are going to do, immediately you set out a goal. Certainly there is a need for you to conduct a feasibility study to find out what is on the ground. You want to aspire to become a Vice Chancellor. I think this is the goal. You should put all your thinking faculty, your energy, money, and whatever toward achieving that. But before you do that, there is a need to embark on feasibility study. Find out, is it possible? If it is possible, how do I start the journey? As somebody is saying, you follow it. If you cannot walk, if you cannot run, walk. If you cannot walk, throw to the end. Meaning that you have to find out what it means. What are the requirements? What are the rigorous nature of the work, as you have led us to know? I feel these two, I don't know whether you shed more light on it. These are my two questions. Thank you very much for your help. Okay, so whatever I say.
Presenters will have questions to respond to. But I think our presenters, maybe I will urge you, when we give you, respond all the questions that were asked, then the other one will respond in that order, because we still have a column where there will be presentations for the presenters. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I can see Mohammed Saidi, Chairman LBT Management Committee, Dr. Abba Hamza, Secretary LBT Management Committee. Thank you for mobilizing our students. Dr. Luko, Dr. Abdul, you are all welcome. Please, Dr. Haruna Mohammed.
Okay, thank you so much. There are three questions or comments. The first one is on how do I navigate the dynamics of being focused and at the same. That's a very good one, especially in a state university. But as I said, the job of a VC is extremely very demanding. But at the same time, the job of a VC is the simplest and easiest job you will ever find. Ask me why and how. Universities operate on committee systems. If the VC did not go out of his way to that others will do, you will have peace of mind. If you want to do everything, I'm telling you, you will have a sleepless night. For whatever issue that came to my attention, I refer it to committee. If a politician meets me, for me to take decision, there is a committee that is in charge of whatever request given to me. If there is no, if it's something so serious or big, the whole committee will quickly be what? Before. So that way, it's not about the VC, it's about procedure. But then, you remember in one of the points that I raised, as a leader in Nigeria, stakeholders say that Canada Turkey, something somewhere is what? Is fundamentally wrong. But in Akache, when that thing is kind, you see, that has been my, anyway, job. The point is, there is a committee system, but be ready to also answer nicknames. But for every nickname given to me, the point is, tell me specifically the qualities of that nickname. In kace dan iska ne, okay to me characteristics in dan iska. And let's put it side by side. The issue is, as a leader, let every at home will agree. If you doubt me, go into the territory of your wife and see whether you will have a meal that is well. You wouldn't. So I think that way you navigate the dynamics of politicians. But the very first thing I did was to avoid them. That was the first thing. But along midway, you cannot just avoid them. So if you can avoid them, okay, the VC is just as a figurehead, and I can tell you the VC is a figurehead. You rely on advice from every single subordinate. I always say, they know me. Finances, I'll look at the BASA and say, for every question about finances, I'll say BASA answer. Because I won't sign, I'll say BASA comment, or CIA, Chief Internal Auditor, advice. Yeah. All the VC has every personnel under him. And in the appointment letter of each of the subordinates, it is clearly stated, your role is to advise the Vice Chancellor in the discharge of his duty in regard to finances. Your role as a registrar is to advise the Vice Chancellor in regard to human resources, blah, 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 blah. So before I say approve, I will say, okay, VC, comment or advice. CIA, advice. Registrar, treat. If I say treat, I didn't say approve. Treat is different from approval. But I'm telling you, you cannot navigate this until you are highly, extremely focused. And to be extremely focused, you must realize that leadership comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shi zai baka, if you are leaving at any time, shi ya cire. So in terms of organizational objectives and personal objectives, you see, as I said, you cannot do it alone. For everything that you want to, for every objective that you have, that you want to achieve, you need somebody to implement those decisions. But in between, you must identify a reliable subordinate. That's the point. You must identify a reliable subordinate. And that's, and by the time you identify a reliable subordinate, they must key into your agenda. And don't be deceived. You do not need 1,000 people to implement an agenda. All you wanted is one person. Go and write it down. I don't need a crowd. I always say it. You get one person that is pushful. He understands your way of doing things, and then you just kickstart. By the time they see progress, you are making progress, a lot will join. A lot will join. And in the process, the mentoring is there. Tell your subordinate that it's not about personal gain. It's about accomplishment of task. Once a task is accomplished, it is almost always associated with what? With personal gain will naturally follow. I swear to God you can't. But once you put finances first, the job will not be done. You will get the personal gain, but the personal gain that you will get, wallahi, you won't move one step ahead. Save money. That will be along with you. Period. So if you want to achieve 30 objectives and you are able to achieve 10, 15, 16, that's okay. When we came up with our strategic planning, for the first 6 months in my tenureship, people came telling me that 100 days, 100 days, 100, you must do something. For me, 100 days is a full shit. I didn't believe in any 100 days. Why? Because if you have a focus, you must lay a very solid foundation. Once you lay that solid foundation, you now identify procedures of implementation, what you want to achieve. So if you are in a rush to achieve objectives, you are in a rush to get things done, that's when you need to raise the elbow of Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C, for them to key into your agenda. But by the time you are steadfast, by the time you are focused, you will carefully identify key personalities and individuals that will ensure that you are on the same page, and along the lines they drop their personal objectives, they key into what? The organizational objectives. That's the way to go. Then on the question of leaders being very formidable, not accessible to students, is that the question?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, I'm not in the business person to answer this. My doors is extremely open, extremely 24/7. Just yesterday, 11 p.m. Guess where am I? In school. We were checking security lights, and a group of ladies were passing by, and one of the ladies was, she said, unconscious, hey, this in it. And then they all talk. The last time there was a problem in the hostel, from my bed, pop, with my pajamas. Before you know it, in the next 3 minutes, I was in the hostel. And they were like, on social media, la, you see the pajamas, we need it. But the line in our strategic planning, we have identified clearly, CASU is student-centered. CASU is student-centered. CASU is student-centered. And for you to get a favor, you don't need to know anybody. If I will, many a times, just yesterday I received a mail from a student. For every mail that I receive, I swear to God I respond. Every single mail I receive, I respond. I don't take things lightly, because 31,000 students is not a joke. Every call, every missed call, I answer. 9 p.m. I answer, because I never know who is needing help. So everything lies on your ability to be focused. To be focused. Many times they change a lot of security personnel, preventing people access to my office. But for every time I step down, I saw people waiting. I stop to attend to every single person, whether I know him, whether I don't know him. In fact, if you want me to be mad, you come with a note of this person. Then deep inside my mind, yesterday, one of the toughest people called me. You hear he rings a bell because he dished out millions. And he said, I have a paper right in front of me. Your staff is in need of ABCD. So I said, ask that staff to come and meet. When that staff came, I said, what's your complaint? She mentioned the complaint. I said to her, all those that we have approved, I swear to God, we don't know them. And we don't even want to know them. There are 3 to 5 persons who had series of problems. Their name did not feature in there. We didn't know them from items, and we are trying to see how we can solve them. So immediately I said, I swear, wallahi, not because I respect that person, you are not getting it. And she just had a deep reason. She said, wallahi, she never knew that is how council will managed. Now she is happy that at least if anywhere is not doing too good, she is sure now that council is attempting to do the right thing. Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you very much. There are a few questions here that were asked, but I will just I'll go through them. Professor Karawin started with a question on his research on Kano, Abakaliki, Nnewi, and Onitsha. Aba instead of Abakaliki. Okay, Aba. It sounds quite interesting, and I will encourage Prof to put up a proposal to TED Fund. I want to believe that you should be able to secure some funding to deepen that research, and so that we can have the benefit of the knowledge of how these great cities have engineered entrepreneurship over the years. The student who asked about whether research is for undergraduate students, yes, researches are not, grants are not limited. There might be some grants that target undergraduate students. A good example, I'll tell you, my son, when he was in 300 level, economics, he applied for a grant, and he secured the grant, and he went to the US for 6 weeks to the University of Connecticut, where he studied for those 3 weeks social entrepreneurship. And since he came back from that program, he told me, Daddy, when I graduate, I'm not going to work for anybody. And today he's not working for anybody, he's working for himself. So there are grants for undergraduate students as well. You only need to search, and you only need to be guided. Somebody asked about the need for a research culture and a grant writing culture. Yes, the university is doing a lot. You recall that not too long ago, the university, by the approval of council, appointed a deputy vice chancellor, advancement, research, and innovation.
We have a directorate of research. The postgraduate school is working also very hard. That's why there is a new appointment there. And for those of you who have been involved, you know that there are a number of things that are going on there. And I think by and large, what I will advise is that you don't need to wait for the university. You need on your own to be self-driven. And so I will encourage you to have research clusters, just like you mentioned, research groups. There are a number of them in the university. Sometimes at the highest level of the university, sometimes we do headhunting. When there is a research grant that we are confronted with, we sit down and decide who do we think can win this grant for us. And sometimes we put teams together. And so, but our advice that as individuals, look at your thematic areas and form, research teams. That was what we did way back in 2007. We put up together our research team, and whether we won a grant or not, we met periodically, almost every 2 weeks, to rub minds, to look at what opportunities there are. And if we had written a proposal that was not accepted, we go through why it was not accepted and see how we can improve on the next one. So everything you do has to be deliberate, and over time you have to be persistent, you have to work very hard, and sometimes you have to commit your resources. I can tell you, if you ask my wife, she will tell you that there are days that because we are working on our proposal, we sleep in the office. And our wives bring food to us. And so it's tasky. But people only see, people don't see the hard work. People don't see the hard work. And you have to be deliberate, you have to work hard at it, and you have to really, really be persistent. So I encourage us to form clusters, research clusters, and work to apply for research grants. Our LBT students, unfortunately, NELFON has not captured you. That is something that the faculty may have to start thinking about. But the very concept of long vacation term training, the assumption, underlying assumption, was that the students are employed and that they take time off from their employment to come for this program. NELFON did not capture you, but I sympathize with you. Let's hope that down the road this situation will change. It is just like private universities asking that they want to benefit from TED for. So it's the same kind of wahala. How often can you receive research grants? As often, there are several research grants all over the place. So you can apply for 5 different research grants at the same time. You may be lucky, 1 might be successful or 2 might be successful. So it's usually better to try your hands at various research grants opportunities. Because like I did say, it's a game of averages. Just like I've been successful with research grants, I've also, in my file, I have so many we regret to inform you. So it's part of the game. Some will tell you no, some will tell you, some will review your proposal, and you will now begin to see where you went wrong. So it's always an advantage when you apply. You can never know that you will succeed until you apply. And that has been my experience. When I was applying for the Fulbright program, things were very, very difficult way back in 1987. And I remember when I was going to travel to Lagos, my wife was not too happy. And she said, we don't have money, and the small money we have, you are pursuing something that we are not sure of. you know, and I could understand her concern. And I only told her that you can never, you know, be sure until you try. You know, and when I came back to Lagos and I told her that, well, I'm successful, I'll be leaving for the US, she was not happy because I was going to leave her for 1 year. You know, but you have to try, you have to keep at it. They are very demanding. You have to leave your comfort zone. You know, you have to go to places, you have to get this letter from here, you have to get this to attach. So it's very, very demanding. If I show you the proposal we wrote for the 5 million World Bank project, you will begin to wonder whether this is a PhD thesis, you know. But it's a lot of hard work, a lot of things went into it. So it's not easy. I have grants, I have $5,000 grants, I have $2 million grants, I have $5 million grants. If you see all the proposals, the sizes are as the grants keep going on. So that's how it is. You know, then the presentation, the person who spoke about the presentation will be made available. I'll submit it to the faculty, they will make it available to you. And then the issue of, unfortunately, you know, students getting centers to produce project work for them and so on and so forth. These are unfortunately things that are going on, and they speak to academic integrity. You know, you see, I always tell students, for those of you who are my students, you know, I'm never really excited about talking about exams, and I always tell my students that I want you to learn. That is the most important thing. You should learn, because all of you here are graduates, most of you, you have PhDs, but you never carry your certificate and tie it on your neck. It is what you have learned that makes you who you are. And so, if you go and get somebody to write work for you and you submit and we graduate you, we have been receiving letters from organizations. You know, you graduate and they give you a job in an organization, and the managing director says, "Oh, this is a new graduate. Okay, please draft a memo or draft a letter to so and so," and you cannot write a letter. And we get letters from them to say, "This person that graduated from your university, please can you whether indeed is a graduate of ABU?" We have been receiving them, several of them. You know, so you have to be studious. You must. That's the part of the challenge that we're having today. That the young ones don't want to learn. You know, they want shortcuts. They want to get things without really working for it. But it boils down to academic integrity. And of course, you know, if we catch you, we are caught. There are very severe sanctions. And the last but not the least asked about the strategy to win a grant, which he said I didn't talk about. One is that you who is applying for the grant, I spoke about it tangentially when I spoke about, you know, eligibility criteria. You know, you must know the purpose for which the grant is being offered. The person who asking you is giving you grant. Don't think that the man is or the organization is Father Christmas. They are not just giving you free money. They have something they want to achieve. And they are looking for a partner who can help them achieve that goal. So, first of all, you have to understand what they want to achieve. And that is why I made the point that you must take time to read the proposal guideline. It is only when you read the proposal guideline that you understand clearly what the organization wants to achieve. And then from that understanding that you now position yourself as the right person for them to give you that money. Because again, like you rightly pointed out, you are in competition with many people. So you have to prove to them that out of this number of people who are applying for this grant, I'm the correct person. Give me your money, you will not regret. And if they determine by their criteria that you are the right person, they'll give you the money out of 1,000 people. So I can tell you that the $5 million dollar proposal that we got, 153 proposals were received from all Nigerian universities. And those proposals were reduced to 49. And then after reducing them to 49, they were sent to the Association of African Universities for further review. And they were reviewed to 29. Out of those 29, the World Bank sent teams to the various institutions for what they call on-site visits. After the on-site visit, only 10 proposals were approved for funding, and our center was one of them. So it takes a long process. It takes a long process, a very rigorous and tedious process. I remember the team that came for the on-site verification to AB, one was from the US, one was from Malawi, and one from Ghana. They refused us to take pictures of them. They don't want us to take pictures of them. They did their work that day, they finished, they submitted their report, and they left. So it was completely impartial, dispassionate, and multinational. So they have very stringent, eligibility criteria and scoring criteria. And out of 90, our center was able to get 89.5%. So you have to brace it. You have to work at it if you want to secure a grant. Some might be easier to get than others, but it's a process, and you have to continue to work at it. So the first two things you must know is what does the grant funder wants, and then you can key in. Don't start by saying, "Me, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do that." The man is not giving you money to do what you want. The man is giving you, or the organization is giving you money to help him achieve a goal. In achieving his goal, you might probably also achieve your own goal. That's the approach. Thank you very much.
Yaloja, thank you. Thank you, Yaloja. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, having had a very long day, quickly we proceed to the award presentations. And may I invite the chairman of the local organizing committee from Professor S.M. Bichi for the awards. And the first, also to present the first award, may I invite Professor Mama Musa to please come forward and help in this presentation. And our first awardee for today is our first paper presenter, the Vice Chancellor of Kaduna State University, KASU, Professor Abdullahi Ibrahim Musa. Please can we put our hands together for the Vice Chancellor? Good evening, sir. Yes, sir.
Award of Merit presented to Professor Abdullahi Ibrahim Musa, the Vice Chancellor, Kaduna State University, in recognition of your outstanding presentation and content lecture series organized by the Faculty of Education, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Today, 30th September 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. To present the second award, May I invite the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor Shamsuddin Mohammed. And the second awardee is the second paper presenter, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, the Center Leader, Africa Center of Excellence on New Pedagogies in Engineering Education, SMP, Professor Raymond Bako. Please can we also put our hands together for Professor Raymond Bako while he comes for the award.
Yes, Faculty of Education, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Award of Merit presented to Professor Raymond B. on 30th September 2025. Congratulations.
And quickly, with the permission of the chairman, we move to the next item on the agenda. And may I invite Professor G.E. Gwani for the vote of thanks.
Two things I want. The Vice Chancellor, Ahmadu Bello University, Professor Adamu Ahmed, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, Professor Raymond Bako, the Vice Chancellor, Kaduna State University, Professor Abdullahi Ibrahim Musa. May I most respectfully indicate that all other important dignitaries that are here are hereby acknowledged. Let me thank the Vice Chancellor, Kaduna State University, for finding time to be here, and that you honor this invitation is a clear testimony that you respect us so much, and you've given us the insights of your journey. But may I add that experience is important. After all that you have said, there is experience. And this experience helped us to be emotionally matured in the way we handle issues. It will also help us to have emotional intelligence. It also would help us to have really a vision and we'll be able to build a team so that we work as a team. You have indicated that the university works on committee system. I want to say most sadly that in our generation and time, we're watching a decline from the committee system to individuals that have made themselves chief executives of the university and therefore are running it as a limited liability company. And I want to say we need to go back to what it is. The university is supposed to be social participatory, and therefore the head of department, the dean, and all of those positions are not meant to be executive. You are chair, you are one amongst equals. Therefore, there is need for you to conduct yourself so that you build a team in challenges of securing academic grants. Honestly, is the final result. You know, success is, but there is a process to success. There are opportunities. You must exploit those opportunities. You must be able to follow the eligibility rules so that you'll be able to succeed in getting the grants that you are so applying. Therefore, the challenge is all of us here, let's put on our thinking caps. Let us look out to set up small research so that they are interdisciplinary, cross-disciplinary, and the rest of them, so that we will be these very grants. Well, without stopping to continue to deliver another lecture, I want to say we want to thank you so very much for making this time out and for stimulating this thought. This is not the end of it. We can continue to think about it. And as they promised, they will send the faculty will eventually pass some of the information to us so that it will go a long way to help us to continue. Thank you very much, our senior colleagues, for finding time. All heads of departments are duly recognized. All former deans are duly recognized, including visiting deans and also center coordinators. All of them are duly recognized, and all our honorable LBT students, we thank you very much for spending time to be here, and much more. The public affairs, my MC, you know, you accused me before that I usually forget you. So I'm using this opportunity to thank you for emceeing properly, and thank you for other members of the Public Affairs Commission. Thank you very much. God bless you, and thank you, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much for thanking me, sir. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have finally come to the end of this event. And I hope we all will go back to our various destinations with a different mindset about leadership and with a different thought about winning grant. Thank you so much. My name is Ahmadu, a Senior Information and Protocol Officer, Public Affairs Directorate, Office of the Vice Chancellor. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we started with prayers, and it's also very important that we close with prayers. May we take 30 seconds to pray according to individual faith. But before the prayers, please, before we go, there's going to be a group photograph here. Thank you. I mean, the announcement before. The group photograph, thank you.